All right, off we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Amy Burke. I'm a chiropractor. I graduated from Life Chiropractic College West in 1999, and I am the instructor for BGI Europe Seminars. I'm the lead steward, and I have been teaching the work for the last 19-20 years. Our tagline is evolving the future of chiropractic. So I am really grateful to be on this panel for the BCC Virtual Lyceum with all of these other incredible chiropractors. And I just want to take a moment to give my deepest thanks and honor the people that have put together this program. It's a huge deal, and to be able to do this and create the enthusiasm and the desire to participate for so many is really a special event. So I'm delighted and honored to be a part of it. The concept of evolution is about forward movement, correct? And I feel like as chiropractors, nobody understands the concept of evolution more than we do, in that we understand that health is a dynamic equilibrium, wellness is a dynamic equilibrium, and everything that is living and alive and a creative process also is dynamic. So it is always in a state of evolution. And I feel like in order to really create a map for where we want to go as a profession as we evolve chiropractic in Europe, that it is incredibly important to understand also from where we have come. And so on that note, I have invited a couple of people to be with me today for my presentation. And as you can see, I have Sue Brown, who is the founder and developer of BGI, or Biogeometric Integration. She was my mentor, and she was the reason that I fell in love with chiropractic. I was already in chiropractic college, and I was bored and frustrated and uninspired and really profoundly bothered by some of the places in our philosophy and in our practice that I felt like lacked congruency. And when I met Sue, she brought that all into focus for me. So I am forever grateful to her, as are all of the people who have studied with me. It gives us a completely different perspective of chiropractic. The other two people that I've invited with us today are Dee Palmer and, as you can see, Albert Einstein. So what Albert says is, unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth. And the reason why I wanted to include that quotation in this presentation is that I intend on challenging some of you today, some of you who are very clear on your chiropractic philosophy, and this is the way it is. And I am asking you to listen with an open mind and open heart, and understand that my desire and passion is that we all move together in the future of chiropractic. And it is going to require a recalibration of our instruments, not only of our adjusting instruments, of our listening instruments, of our speaking instruments, our heart instrument, but also our philosophy and the way we communicate. People are becoming very hungry for healthcare professionals that are coming from a perspective that is empowering and without fear. And I think it's very important that we look at our chiropractic languaging and understand that if we're not very careful, it can sound like we are trying to scare people into the office. And I know that's not what you mean to do. And I know when we go back to those old methods that may seem like they work really well because you get people to sign up for a bunch of care, I'm going to ask you to evaluate what you're using in order to make that sale, whether it's a true belief in the power of chiropractic or whether it's a need to create a fear model so that people will engage in the process that you want them to with your heart. I'm not questioning your motives, but the language that we use we can tweak it to be more empowering. In order to truly evolve, it's important to acknowledge from where we've come and to be willing to keep the things that are highly functional and are still appropriate for our current reality, for our scientific understanding, for our philosophical understanding, for our practice, and then also to allow ourselves to grow. Not that we're ever going to be beyond Sue Brown or beyond BJ or beyond Dee Dee. We are of them. We have come from these incredibly gifted people. And in order to evolve, we need to be willing to do our own work and evolve our own practice, our own philosophy, and allow it to expand into the future. So that's where we're headed. And I feel like we have a few things that we need to clean up in our chiropractic language before we can fully embrace the future. Here's one of my absolute favorite slides. As you can see on the left, we have the ego system, and on the right, we have the ecosystem. And an ecosystem is really a pyramidal structure that has man on top, and I use that with a very clear understanding of gender. And as you can see, women or woman is below man, and then kingdom and the plant kingdom, of course, the planet, nature, would be below man, who has dominion over all. And the ecosystem has been around for the last 2,000 years. And yes, it is true that the ecosystem allowed us to develop and thrive and push boundaries in order to create many things that were inconceivable, of course, 2,000 years ago. However, I think looking at our world, our planet, our environment, our relationships with technology, our relationships in our communities, our relationships with money, with stuff, with consumerism, that we can objectively say, although there are some great privileges and some wonderful things that have come out of the ecosystem, that it is time that we reconsider our role in this pyramid. And in fact, the pyramid has, over the last 20 to 30 years, really been crumbling. And so we're moving from an ecosystem to an ecosystem. And the profound difference with the ecosystem is it's no longer a pyramid, but it's rather a rounder, inclusive model where the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, the plant kingdom, that we all have a respect for each other and a care for each other that allows us each to thrive and flourish in the stewardship of the things around us, the people around us, the animals around us, the soil around us, the air around us, the water around us. And that unless we are acutely aware of our relationship to each of these things, that it is not a sustainable structure. And the ecosystem is also not a sustainable structure. And that's why it's crumbling. It took a very long time, I realize that. But the ecosystem, the concept of egalitarian, of a sustainable model, is important not only when we talk about the environment or we talk about politics, but when we talk about chiropractic, it's really important that we check our ego and make sure who we are serving is the person on the table, and that we are serving them from a place of absolute humility. When I was in chiropractic college, it was very rare to see women on the stage. And I'm so grateful to see this panel filled with incredibly powerful, brilliant women like Heidi Havoc, like Heidi Keller. And I'm so touched and excited to be part of this process, because what I've noticed in my teaching is that more than half the students at all of the chiropractic colleges are women. And so as this starts to reflect in our chiropractic leadership and our chiropractic philosophy in the chiropractic offices, I also believe that women have a different quality in this ecosystem that they are going to deliver and bring to our evolution of chiropractic. And so I am thrilled to watch this unfold in Europe as we look towards the evolution of chiropractic in Europe. We want to create a system that is based on sustainability. So there's a lot of ways that we can do that. One of the things that we are infamous for in chiropractic is division, right? We can pick apart each other based on how many people you see a week, or what type of force application you use, what your technique is, where you went to college, whether or not you osseously adjust people, whether or not you adjust people above atlas, whether you adjust below atlas, whether you adjust extremities. These are all ways in which we can create separation amongst our profession. And may I tell you, it is not serving us. Our philosophy is one of unity. Our philosophy is one of sustainability. Our philosophy is one of beauty. And somehow we've managed to create separation in our field, and it creates a lack of coherency in our field. And when we study the bioelectromagnetic field around people, when the field becomes incoherent, that's when disease is able to thrive. It is critically important at this time right now, where our services are being requested more than ever, because we understand innate intelligence. We understand the body's ability to heal. We understand the body's ability to respond with its immunity, with its immune response, better than any other healthcare profession. We are set up to be the leaders in this post-pandemic world. And unfortunately, we spend time arguing between ourselves rather than creating a united front, which is another reason why I'm so delighted to be here with all of these different speakers talking all about our future in chiropractic in Europe, about the evolution, because again, we can't talk about the future if we don't understand where we are right now. One of the things that really attracted me to BGI was this concept of unity in chiropractic, because with our BGI approach, we can acknowledge and appreciate and understand the postural approach, the structural approach, the tonal approach. And even though I said each of those as though they were different approaches, they are also the same approach. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, is that we have become very good in our community about talking about structural adjustments and tonal adjustments. So I'm looking for a tonal chiropractor in this zip code in London. I'm looking for a structural chiropractor in this zip code in Stockholm. And what I can tell you is that we're spending a lot of time talking about the same thing in different words. What did D.D. Palmer say? He said, tone is the foundation of this chiropractic profession. And so what I know to be true is that if you are listening to the person's system, if you are in service to their system, your adjustment is going to acknowledge and honor the tone of their body. The adjustments that you look back in your lifetime and you remember like, oh my God, that was one of my best adjustments, that either that you've given or that you've received. It's because the tone was being matched. And the force application in that picture is actually the least important aspect. The most important aspect is that connection, is that honoring. So please, 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 let's as a profession watch our language. Anybody who's doing a tonal adjustment is creating a structural change. Anybody who is doing a structural adjustment is creating a tonal change. There's simply no need to differentiate those two aspects. And I'm reminded of, I believe it was Einstein, who said that when we start to talk about matter and energy as two separate entities, that all we've done is shown that we haven't understood energy at all and matter very little, because on the spectrum, they're the same line, right? It's just energy has a low concentration of matter and matter has a lower concentration of energy. But we're talking about a quantitative difference rather than a qualitative difference. So when we're talking about tone or structure, well, it's really more accurate to talk about which type of force application we want to use. So whether we want to use a soft connective tissue force application, whether we want to use an osseous force application, and then we're acknowledging the connectedness of the human system, the tensegrity nature of the human system. And we're able to acknowledge that any kind of chiropractic approach is going to affect the entire body. It's going to affect the tone as well as its structure, no matter where we're coming from on the outside. So please, please, please watch our language. Let's support each other in growing into a more unified and coherent and congruent profession. That all of you are very familiar with this quote. Universal intelligence is in all matter and continually gives to it all of its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. Why do I have this in here? The big idea, it's where we come from, right? So we talked about how if we want to evolve to our future, it's important to acknowledge where we've come from. And here's something I'm going to tell you. I am never, ever getting rid of the big idea in chiropractic. I'm not giving up our major premise. What I am going to do is facilitate a little bit of tweaking of our language and our perspective about what happens in the chiropractic office so that our major premise actually makes better sense. It is more coherent with what we do. If there is a universal intelligence that is so good and so smart and so wise and so capable to be able to create something as amazing as nature, as humans, as health, as the ability to heal, why is it subluxating? What's the deal with that? And the answer that I got for me was insufficient. And so the answer that I most frequently got was, it is a limitation of matter and it is a failure of adaptation. What bothered me about that is, if we believe in the major premise, I think that there is no mistake. There is no failure. There simply isn't. It's not congruent with the major premise. So the concept of subluxation to me did not match the beauty of the rest of chiropractic philosophy. And so I hope that this will make some of you laugh. I probably said out loud that graduate from chiropractic college, I would help lots of people, and I would simply never mention the word subluxation because it seemed unimportant. Because for me, what it really did was just open up this sort of can of worms as to the holes in our philosophy. And so I walked away from the concept of subluxation. I didn't walk away from the concept of chiropractic. I never have, I never will. But I wasn't comfortable with the way we presented the concept of subluxation as being quite mechanical and as being a mistake. To me, it just wasn't good enough with everything else that we could offer. And when I met Sue, that's where things started to change. And so here's what I was taught in chiropractic college. In the 20th century, in a lot of the 21st century, if we're honest, we talked a lot about back pain. We talked about low back pain management. We talked about nerve on bone, or bone on nerve, excuse me. We talked about the garden hose being squished and the nerve impulses not being able to be fully delivered. And I am not questioning the incredible contribution that chiropractors who practice in this model of subluxation, with their understanding of subluxation in this model, they are going to help a tremendous amount of people. My concern is that they are going to get bored and they're going to get tired, because what they're looking for every time they go into the office is problems. And I don't know about you, but I actually don't like to spend my whole day dealing with problems. I would much rather spend my whole day finding out how to bring joy to a situation, or how to look for potential rather than problems. And by the end of my presentation, I hope that you will agree with me and understand that we can do this in our office with great ease and help people in the same way. So here is the Rubicon Group definition of chiropractic subluxation. We currently define a chiropractic subluxation as a self-perpetuating central segmental motor control problem that involves a joint, such as a vertebral motion segment that is not moving appropriately, resulting in ongoing maladaptive neural plastic changes that interfere with the central nervous system's ability to self-regulate, self-organize, adapt, repair, and heal. So what I like about this is that it opened up the whole concept of subluxation to a bigger definition, right? So we're talking about self-organization, adapting, repairing, and healing, and all of those sound like words that we would use to describe the role of innate when it's allowed to function at its maximum, right? So I like that. What I don't like so much, I don't know if you can see this, is this word problem here. So we're looking for a central segmental motor control problem. What did I just say about problems? I don't like them. I am not fond of them. I can stop right there. I don't like problems. I'll deal with them if I have to, but I don't want to go into work, and that's what I'm dedicated to, is finding and dealing with problems all day long. So you're probably wondering, what's my option? What do you got for me? Well, here we go. The potential energy theory of subluxation. This is what I learned from Sue Brown. This is what made me fall in love with the concepts of BGI. And to me, this is the way that we are going to evolve into the future of chiropractic in Europe and throughout the world. What does this mean? So the potential energy theory of subluxation really looks at the concept of subluxation as a part of universal intelligence rather than a failure to adapt or a failure to be able to integrate forces, right? So the critical word here is potential. So what we are looking for when we're talking about the potential energy theory of subluxation is potential. Now, I don't know about you, but I am way more excited about looking for potential when I go into the office than I am looking for problems. So I talked about a little bit earlier about how important it is that we adapt our understanding of science to match where our scientific understanding is in the world around us. And I'm about to read a quotation for you from Ilya Prigogine, who won the Nobel laureate in chemistry in 1977. That may sound like it was a very long time ago for many of you. I understand, most of you weren't born yet. However, the other guy that we talk about a lot in modern science is Newton from the 1700s. So Ilya Prigogine is like practically a newborn compared to Newton. And the concepts in quantum theory, in quantum mechanics, quantum physics are all based in updating our understanding of how the world works around us. So Ilya Prigogine, what did he say? Complicated structures, like human systems, require more energy transactions to maintain integrity. Living systems can utilize energetic input to organize to a higher complexity. If living systems do not have input, they will express a greater tendency towards catastrophe and structured mutations. So input is experience, right? Every single experience we have is an energetic input into our system. And the way Sue explained it, Sue Brown, is that with every experience that we have two options. Option number one is that experience comes in, the energy, the frequency, the resonance of that experience comes into our system, and the body will go into chaos. At that moment, the body is able to adapt, and in that adaptation, it evolves into a higher organizational state, which means that the frequency and resonance of that experience becomes part of our cellular structure. It becomes part of the frequency that our cells are able to emit and contain. And so what happens is our cellular structure actually becomes more complex. And the song, if you imagine that we are music going through life, the songs that our body plays as we adapt and evolve in our life experiences, our songs become more complex. They become richer. Instead of being a one-note song, we start to play a symphony, an organ, multiple instruments. And that is because of our evolution. That is because of our awareness of a variety of different things, right? And our experiences enrich us. Option number 2 is that the body, an experience comes in, which is energy, right? Matter, energy, same thing. The body goes into chaos and it stays there because it's not able to adapt at that moment. And that is what creates a subluxation. And if you're saying to yourself, well, that sounds exactly like what I was taught in chiropractic college, you're saying that it stays there, it can't adapt. What I'm saying here, which is different, is that it stays there because universal and innate are so brilliant that universal dictates and tells us that we are always where we are supposed to be at the moment we are supposed to be there in order to learn the lessons we have to learn in this lifetime, correct? So every event that we have is there for our enrichment. It's there for our experiences. Some of them at the time suck. They're hard, but they're important. And they push us to the next level of our growth and evolution. And if we're unable to integrate them at that time, our body will hold on to that experience. That experience becomes part of our physiology, and it is held in our structure, in our cells, in our muscular tissue, in our fascia, in our osseous system. And we will distort through different subluxation patterns. But what to me is so different is that this is a stored experience that universal and innate are allowing me to hold on to because it is important information for my humanhood, for my enrichment. And so when that experience is able to be released through the chiropractic adjustment, I am able to integrate and allow that frequency and energy that has been stored in my system to be released and integrated, and it becomes part of who I am. I no longer need to repeat that experience because I get it. I got it. I'm good. And so what changes is that it's not about my back pain. It's not about my vertebral alignment. It's about the releasing and integrating of experiences that have been stored in the body that the body was not able to integrate. And each one of those was a potential growth experience. And then the chiropractic adjustment becomes the facilitator for that growth and evolution. It's very exciting. So when the system cannot transact through an experience, the result is a subluxation. What that means is that you never, ever lose with any experience. Either you win because option number 1, the experience came in, we were able to integrate it, and we grow and evolve because of that experience. Or option number 2, we store that information for the future. When we are ready, when we have the time, space, and separation in order to be able to deal with that, and take the process of taking in that information, actually metabolizing it, allowing it to become part of our cellular structure instead of just being held separately from it. And the experience is, at least in my office, is that what happens is people may come in initially because they're having some type of pain or discomfort or disease process, and they want help. And what I can offer them with absolute certainty is that we will facilitate growth and evolution, and we will help them release tension that is stored in their system. And there is no physical, emotional, mental, chemical condition that the body cannot heal from And there is no situation in which having less tension does not help a body be able to function better. So for me, it's about releasing stored tension. It's about releasing potential. And so when I go to the office, I'm not looking for problems. I'm looking for potential. And the conversation that I get to have with people is dramatically different on the basis of potential versus problems. And what I was afraid of when I graduated from chiropractic college, or just before then, is the people that seemed to be doing really the best in practice were the people who were best at selling fear. And it didn't resonate with me. I never thought that I could actually go and say, hey, come to my office because you've got subluxations, and subluxations are the silent killer. There's two things that used to drive me crazy about that. One is we're all gonna die, whether we get adjusted or not. It's just the quality of our life in the meantime, right? So let's talk about that quality of life rather than the evil killer. Subluxations aren't evil. Subluxations are a growth opportunity. Oh, hold on. Is anybody feeling triggered yet? Because here's what's happened. Sometimes I go on forums in chiropractic and somebody will talk about subluxation as being evil, the evil killer, the silent killer. And I'll throw in a few options like, hey, what if subluxations aren't a bad thing? And there was one chiropractor who said, if you're a chiropractor and you think subluxations aren't a bad thing, you should be a tire mechanic or making sandwiches at Subway, because you are a horrible chiropractor. And I had to really sit down and think about that for a while. And here's what I realized. Sue Brown, Amy Burke, Valerie Panacchio, Eddie Medina, Francesca Di Luciano, none of these people who understand and appreciate Katina Manning, that appreciate the concepts of BGI, are saying, oh, subluxations are great, you should go out and get as many as you can. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying live your life, thrive. And when you can, get to my office, because there is stored potential in your system that when we release it, you are going to live an easier, better, more fulfilled, more evolved life. And so subluxations are not bad. They are an opportunity. And I feel like the better able we are to embrace that philosophy in our evolution as chiropractors in Europe, the better we are going to do. Because people, the fear is out there, right? Everybody else is doing the fear. So it's really important for us that we step away from the fear and offer a possibility. And the possibility that we are going to offer is that their body is perfect, whole, and complete, that there is a reason for everything. And the reason that they are experiencing subluxations is because it is stored potential. And that we are there to facilitate the unwinding of that stored potential and the release of that stored potential. And on the other side is growth and evolution for all of us. So here is Sue Brown's definition of subluxation. And again, you can see it's not like we're throwing away what came before, we're just adapting it. We're just modeling it so that it's a little tighter and a little more wide in terms of opportunity and possibility. Subluxation is a term utilized in chiropractic to describe the state of heightened chaos that a living system expresses when it is unable to fully process input from the environment. This heightened state of chaos has far-reaching effects which alter the body's ability to function optimally. These alterations include, but are not limited to, neurological and biomechanical distortions frequently associated with the spine, and changes to the neurochemistry and the electromagnetic field of the body. So again, now we're understanding, we're bringing in this quantum understanding of the electromagnetic field, of how that is changed and shifted by subluxation. Our neurochemistry, the understanding of the fascia, And we're bringing out our focus just a little bit wider so that we can accommodate what we are starting to understand in science, that chaos is part of being a human being. It is not bad, it is expected, and it is in fact an incredible boost to our next level of organization, which is incredibly important in our evolution. We're talking about the neurochemistry and we're talking about the electromagnetic field. We're also talking about the spine, of course we are, but it's not limited to. I want you to know that you are in the most incredible profession, that we help people every single day. It is an absolute joy to be a chiropractor. And honestly, I understand that there is just a lot to be confused or questioning at the moment. It's a scary time to be opening a practice or starting a new career. It is our moment. We need to tell the chiropractic story, and we get to share it in a way that is empowering, that really embraces people's ability to adapt and change dynamically. And this is what's missing on the other side. So please do your homework, do your evolving, do your personal work, do everything that you can so that when you get into your office, you are there and ready to serve. Thank you so much for having me as part of your panel. What you've put together is absolutely amazing, and I'm truly honored to be part of it.